David Griffin Jr., president of the H Griffin family of companies. First heard about the attacks, I was right here in Greensboro, North Carolina, at our office, and I got a phone call that a plane had hit the World Trade Center. And I didn't think that much of it at first, but then about 15 minutes later, I get another call from one of our engineers here at the company and said, hey, maybe you ought to come. It's another plane hit the World Trade Center. And, a lot of people today find out, but we only had one television in 5 buildings at the time. So I went to where that one TV was and just couldn't believe, what I was seeing that was going on. So I was right here in Greensboro the day of the attacks. What motivated me to go up as the next few days progressed in America, some people was giving blood, some people was donating money, and I just felt a desire and I wanted to help, and I was trying to figure out what I could do to help, and I just kept having a feeling the more I'd watch it on television that maybe it was something that we could get, could go up and offer our services to help in that way. So finally on September 13th, I made the decision to go to New York and just see if it was anything I could do. So on the September 13th, we loaded up and headed to New York. Basically, I wound up literally snuck into the site because we wasn't invited. So kind of snuck in and just started meeting people. I knew a couple of the contractors that was doing some of the work, some of the large general contractors. Started talking to them and basically got into a position the first day I was there about like 10 o'clock that morning to help make some decisions with the fire department on a recovery operation. They was not happy with the way some of the stuff was going, and I just spoke up and said, hey, have you thought about we could do it this way? And the fire chief turned around and was like, who are you? I said, well, I'm David Griffin from North Carolina, which he didn't think I was from Brooklyn, when I was talking, when he heard me talking. So he just said, well, are you in charge here? And one of the people that I'd been talking to, he's like, no, I guess he can make a decision for us because they were struggling with the decision, and he had heard of our company. And so it literally about an hour, we made the decision. It worked out really well. By the time those people's boss got back, he's like, that was pretty risky. You just stepping in and make that decision. I said, well, somebody had to make it, and it's what we do. So that afternoon, that company hired us to help them in charge of World Trade. It was 4 quadrants. They had the Vista Hotel and World Trade Center too. So they hired us to help consult with them. So that's how I initially got involved. I mean, it was, I was young. I was 33 years old. It was scary. It was challenging. It was an emotional roller coaster, physically, spiritually, mentally. It was a tough project, obviously, what we was dealing with, but it's also kind of was the Super Bowl of your career. It's the largest demolition project that had ever been done in America. So yeah, it was a lot of pressure, and especially a few days after that, on September 25th, is when we got put in charge of the entire project. So in a very short period of time, we made a lot of critical decisions that opened a lot of people's eyes. And, I was young, but I grew up in this business, and I had a lot of great teammates around me helping me. And I got to work with some really, really talented people there in New York that I became fast friends with, and between all of us, we made a great team. And that's I was young, but I had a lot of good people around me. I learned that it's you can't be afraid of taking chances. It was a big chance. Looking back, even some days, probably a month or two in, I was like, man, that was crazy. But it was something that drawed me to do it, and I was glad to do it. It was also tough when I say it was a Super Bowl of your career. It was also hard to high five sometimes because it was such a tragic situation. So it was also there again. It was a big project, but you just learn that again, you take chances, and surround yourself with good people, and it turned out and worked out okay. Our company was there a total of, I was there personally for 9 months as the manager of the site. We was overseeing 4,000 people a day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And our company was there 19 months, but I was there personally for almost 9 months. The first 30 days I was staying at a hotel 50th and Madison, and then we rented out 2 or 3 floors of an apartment building about a block and a half from the site, because a lot of the people that lived in the buildings, even within 3 or 4 blocks, left because the building burned for 100 days. So it was the longest burning building fire in American history because they couldn't get it out, because so a lot of people, we lived literally a block and a half from the site. We just rode our 4-wheelers or buggies, whatever, up and down, whatever highways or streets we wanted to. It was kind of a crazy time. My kids was 10, 8, and 8 months old, and they went up that day with me, and my wife and kids stayed back at the hotel, and but as time went on, I brought my daughters down to the site multiple times. Because again, I wanted to teach them that, this is real, and I wanted them to see it firsthand, because we tried to raise our kids that, everybody in the world ain't nice. It's you can't live in a bubble and thinking everybody's not, and some people's like, why would you carry your guy? Well, we didn't carry them into the physical site, but kids need to know. Again, they was 10 and 8, they wasn't 3, so they needed to know, and they wanted to see what their dad was doing. I went back about 10 or 12 years ago. I've not been back. I want to go back to see the museum. I've heard amazing things about it, and the memorial. I do want to go back. I just hadn't had the chance, but it is something I want to do. Don't want to go. A couple of people's asked me, "Am I going up for the 20th?" It's just when I do go, I want to go kind of under the radar. I don't want to go for any fanfare or anything. Some of the things I've learned, just again, be willing to get outside your comfort zone. It changed my life forever. It also made me appreciate not taking life for granted, because almost 3,000 people that day was doing nothing no different what we're doing today, our job. And it reminds you how precious life is, and you see the implications of families are changed forever in an instant. Don't take things for granted. Now, it is easy for sometimes we all get caught up in the petty things of life, but sometimes it's just a recheck of, hey, just be thankful for what you have and try to take advantage of every day.